Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. Coach, I've rambled more on this talk than I think I normally do, so
I stole your job. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm asking you questions about your scale, and I'm throwing out hypotheticals of only taking open jump shots for an entire game, which was kind of actually our mentality, like going into the game this year, that we only took 3-point shots. I mean, we talked about it. I unfortunately missed the game because I had the flu.
You weren't there?
It was so disappointing. I'd been thinking about this game plan and just wondering, like, could it even be done? Like, is somebody going to mess up?
Your dad wanted to do that too, didn't he? Like, wasn't that something he kind of always wanted to do, was only take threes?
He had thought about it. I've been thinking about it, I swear, for like a decade. And it finally kind of aligned the right way in our schedule at the right time, where we were in a back-to-back and we were really close to finals. And just mentally, I thought we needed a little bit of a break. And it was an opponent that I thought could kind of provide a little bit of flexibility to be able to test something out. And then I got the flu, and my assistant ran the show. In fact, I was so sick I didn't even watch like the half of the first half.
Oh, my goodness!
I flipped it on, but no, that was kind of like the mentality. It was like, hey, what does happen? Is there any type of law of diminishing returns? Is this even possible? Do other teams start playing us a little bit differently? Just to kind of think about that, you know.
To me, a night like that will propel you to have future success. Yeah. It doesn't really matter what happens that night, because it's the same reason why our best shooters have to shoot 10 or more threes each game. Like, it doesn't matter if they actually make that many. I mean, obviously, if they could get around that 35 to 40% range, when it's all said and done, that's great. But they have to show that they're willing to do it, because that will lead, when teams actually in district do scout, they're going to watch a game where on any time Leather touched their fingertips, that shot was up. And then all of a sudden they write down those two words, he's a must dribble. Well, they don't realize that in our system, it's, can I shoot it? If not, can I move it? If not, can I rip and go? And if our pace and our spacing's correct, then the paint is really where we want to live. So to your point, like, it may not work out that night, but guys, this is going to help us in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I thought we saw a lot of benefits from, team morale and chemistry.
That's what I was going to ask you, is how did they respond after that game? Because he shot 113. What was the number at the end?
Oh, geez, it's 111 or 112.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I just remember seeing the number. Anytime I get to see, in mainstream basketball, because like, unless you're a guy like me that actually follows, but to see that on ESPN, to see the Grinnell name up there again was super cool. And there's a part of it there too, like, you have an identity. And I get to watch a lot of high school coaches compete against them, where sometimes after the games I think, I don't really know what they're about. Like, I don't know what they do. Like, what are they trying to achieve every night? You guys definitely have that. When you do something like that and then you get recognized for it, I would imagine that locker room is pretty cool or pretty special after.
Oh, it's great for the program, and you don't want, I don't ever try to do any of this stuff or a record or whatever I mean, it has to come against an opponent, but it's not being done to embarrass another team. It's being done like for our guys, for the experience of the guys that I'm coaching, and to help propel us in a direction as a unit. The notoriety certainly helps from a recruiting perspective as well. And again, it creates that identity for our guys, and it gives them something to talk about and something to remember fondly. Like, these guys are coming to Grinnell to play basketball, but also to get a world-class education, and are going to go on to have in most cases, well, life outside of basketball or lives outside of basketball, working professional lives outside of basketball. And so, yeah, there are will hopefully be more opportunities where we can do something unique that's never been done in the game of basketball, whether that's at an individual level. But you know what? Even Jack Taylor's 138-point game, while it goes down as an individual record, it wasn't really that. It was a team record. You know,
Doesn't happen if you don't
buy-in
have everybody on board, no doubt.
and it changed the complexion of our season. You know, like other teams are now defending him in a different way, which is creating better shots for the unit moving forward in conference games. You know,
in that game, sorry, coach, in that game, were they, I mean, how often were they turning down twos? Like I could see from time to time, if you're playing with pace, you're going to have a couple nines out there, wide open layups. I mean, you literally had dudes like Nash dribbling underneath the rim to kick it again, even though they're giving up, not taking the layup.
Yeah, it happened a handful of times actually. You know, and where the other team did not collapse. I also just think it took us a little bit longer than maybe I was expecting for us to get in the rhythm. Like the first half was kind of choppy, didn't look great, like because I think we were, again, in a way, we were thinking about it a little bit too much. You know, instead of just thinking about, hey, what do? We attack the rim, we drive it, we find the open shooter, we're screening on the perimeter, we're moving to open space, and then we let the thing fly. You know, and what we kind of got into was we would catch the ball and we would just be dribbling, looking at the guy that's standing outside the arc instead of trying to get to the rim. You know, and once we kind of got into a little bit better of a flow in the second half, I honestly think that it really helped us in a lot of ways, like moving forward for the rest of the year.
So a lot of times people talk about, everybody has a box, right? Like that they're coaching in, that they things that they believe. And then I had a coach, Zach Weir, he's at Keller High School, very like-minded, I think, with us. I hope you don't mind me saying that I think I'm like-minded with you. I don't mean that as anyway. He said, some guys worry about, they want to be in the box or they want to coach outside the box. He's like, I don't even have a box. I don't have a box. This is the way I believe, this is the way I do it. I would imagine to run a style that you do and to have a game like that, you've got to help your team realize, like, listen, there is no box here. Like we can do whatever we really want to do from night to night. I don't know. I just think there's something special in that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I've always been like a firm believer that records are made to be broken, and and I'm excited for the next challenge. And though it is getting tougher to find records that can be taken down, but hopefully creativity will allow for us to do so. I like after the year, we always have the open door policy, and it's a private school, so I mean. They pay to be here. They don't pay to play basketball here, but they pay to be here. But I do want to have that open door with my parents and players. And so this past year, we did shoot a lot of threes for a high school team. And I had a well-meaning parent meet with me. And the basic, I think the message was, we'll never win state shooting threes or shooting that many threes. And there's times, like, I always try to keep a good face. And a lot of these parent meetings, I feel like they just want to be heard. They don't really care about my opinion or what I think. They just want me to hear them. And that's okay. Like, I think that's a part of our job. But I don't know if it's more of like, we can't win a state championship shooting this many threes, or is it less likely for us to win a state championship because we're not as good or as talented as the teams that do win. You know what I'm saying? Like we are at Grapevine Faith. It's really hard to get in here, but we play in a league and against other teams where it's not as hard to get in. And so it's like, I always thought it's like if Harvard was playing in the ACC. Like I'm playing Duke here. Like, what am I supposed to do? But we've been competitive. We've had great teams. I feel like our guys get better. We do shoot a lot of threes, but we haven't won state. Have you felt that way? Like, Yeah, I mean, I've heard like the criticism, like, oh, you guys aren't winning the NCAA Division III national championship, or even like winning games in the D3 tournament, and you know, that is accurate. That's an accurate statement. We have not. I at this current juncture, I don't think it's a realistic place that we're in. And there are a variety of reasons for that, ranging from, you know, for different schools. There are a variety of reasons for that, right? Like it could be the academic prestige of the school and who can get in. It could be the cost of attendance. It could be the location. You know, it could be the resources that they have available. I think that a very wise coach and colleague, you know, said to me, there's a reason why certain basketball teams win games and why certain basketball teams lose games generally. And in most instances, it doesn't have a ton to do with the head coach, you know, and I think that some of that is accurate because, you know, for us, it wouldn't matter what style we ran. We're not winning the NCAA Division III tournament because of our style. You know, and there are other factors. It doesn't mean that I don't want to win. Doesn't mean that I don't want to win the NCAA Division III tournament. Of course, I think that can be like, I'm not sure the goal is necessarily the right word because it might be just a little bit too unrealistic at this point. But I think there are steps that I'm trying to take to say, hey, what are the next steps that we can take with our program? You know what? A realistic expectation is we would like to be at the top of our conference. We would like to be playing in the NCAA tournament, you know, and I don't have grandiose expectations of winning NCAA tournament games right now. We haven't proven that we can even get there, you know, but so I think that there are steps that we want to take. And I think that it's not a sign that you're not competitive, but it is a sign that, like, I feel like this style and this identity gives us our best chance to do that.
And I think that's where you got to get, like, and I love that you said that because it's taken some time, but you want to marry the two. This style helps my guys to become the best individually and gives us a competitive advantage or way that we can win games. But then it's also a style of play that I love and that I love to coach. And because I feel like players feel that. They feel whether you have joy in what you're teaching them or whether you don't really like it, but you're just forcing it on them. But to kind of go back to why at Faith have we not won? Because this last year's team, we did shoot pretty well. I actually thought it was a team, you know, that in myself that could win. But at one point, we had 3 starters out with injuries for a large length of time. And then when they came back, another one went. Like sometimes you look back over your season, and if you did hit that ceiling that you had, man, that's like a special year, no matter if you won a championship or not. And if you didn't hit your ceiling, you got to look, was it scheme? Was it style of play? Was I putting them in bad spots? Or were there just factors, grades, sickness, injury that also changed the trajectory of the season? Because I think what rarely will parents ever think that it was little Johnny's fault. It had to be something style-wise, or you had everything perfect and right. It just didn't go the way that you wanted. But I still love coaching them. I love watching them shoot it courageously every night, right?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.